Good morning, my dear students. Myself Ranjit Kaur Bhatia, and today we are going to talk about permanent tissue. Well, we all know that permanent tissues are those which have lost their ability to divide. There are two varieties of permanent tissue. One, simple permanent tissue, and second, complex permanent tissue. Simple permanent tissue are those tissues which are made up of only one type of cells. Example, parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. But if they are made up of more than one type of cell, then tissues become little complicated and they are called as complex permanent tissues. Example, xylem and phloem. Simple permanent tissue is protective and supportive tissue and is made up of single type of cells. There are three types of simple permanent tissue: parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. Let's see parenchyma. You can find parenchyma tissue throughout the plant body. These are also called as filler tissue as they fill the space. Cell wall is thin. Having thin cell wall makes this tissue soft. But filling is not the only function of parenchyma tissue. Parenchyma cell present in the leaves can contain chloroplast, so they can do photosynthesis. Such parenchyma cells who can do photosynthesis are called as chlorenchyma, which is mix of two words, chloroplast and parenchyma. You can also find parenchyma tissue in the pulp of fruits. These tissues can store fruit sugars and starch, and so they are called as storage parenchyma. In floating plants, the cells like parenchyma tissue have large intercellular spaces. These are usually filled with the air. This helps in keeping plant afloat. They are called aerenchyma. Just like chlorenchyma, aerenchyma is mix of two words, that is air and parenchyma. Next, let's start with the collenchyma. Don't get confused with chlorenchyma and collenchyma. Collenchyma are mainly responsible for two things: flexibility and mechanical support. Because of flexibility and mechanical support, plants can withstand with the heavy rain and winds. You can find collenchyma tissue in places like stalk of leaves and flowers, and that's why these places are both flexible and mechanically strong. If you see cells of collenchyma, they are also made up of living cells, just like parenchyma cells, but cells wall is thicker than the parenchyma cells. The cells are arranged compactly within no intercellular spaces. If you see it clearly, you can see corners of collenchyma are unevenly thickened. Cells are elongated. Now, third type of simple permanent tissue is sclerenchyma. Rest two were living. Rest two means parenchyma and collenchyma. But the sclerenchyma is completely made up of dead cells. Walls are thickest than rest of the two. They are very hard, so main function is to provide mechanical strength. You can find sclerenchyma on hard shells of coconuts, nuts and seeds, etc. Sclerenchyma are of different shapes and sizes, but two main types are fibers and sclerids. Fibers are long, they are narrow, they are thick, lignified cells, usually pointed at both the ends and clustered into strands. But the sclerids are also called as stone cell and the grid cells. They are dead and found in various parts of the plant like hard seeds.